And you're welcome. Let's do book chat now. And today we have a very interesting book on review. Now, On Merit is the story of one woman's struggle against the vagaries of life, surviving a horrific civil war as a child, regaining the years lost to that war through sheer tenacity, and finding ways to improve herself and benefiting from the experiences life threw at her. To talk more about it is the author of the book, Georgina Ehuriah-Arisa. It's so good to have you on board here today, Georgina. Good morning and welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, fantastic.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, great. Hey, we couldn't but do so. So I have some very interesting questions I'd like to ask you about this. Well, first of all, 460 pages of what I might call a manual for women who want to succeed in a present-day world. I mean, first of all, how long did it take you to write this?
I wrote most of this book within a year.
Oh, wow. Now,
But there were some chapters that I had done before during the what I would call my capacity building periods, or when I was in the capacity building circuit in the civil service, and then talks I had given to corporate women at various fora.
okay.
There's also a chapter that I did for a friend of mine, the chapter at the Muse, Esiaba Irobi, who died. And that one was published internationally.
Oh,
I
nice.
had to get permission from them
Okay.
to now print it in my own book. Of course, with updates, it was updated and tweaked. Then 2 of the chapters were based on research I had done.
Okay. That's
In the
nice.
past, a research I did when I did my master's, and a research I did when I did the degree in law.
So how
So
would
they
you...
were actually materials that I had developed over time.
All right, interesting. There's a bit of a delay, but we'll try and work with that. Georgina, how would you define this book? Would you define it as a manual? Because for every single chapter, it actually starts with an excerpt from your life or about you. So would you define this as a manual or as a textbook for people who want to succeed, especially if they're women? And also, what examples for men can we glean from reading this book?
I would really describe the book as a manual for anyone who wants to succeed, particularly those who are building their careers. You know, if you're in a job where there's a hierarchy and you have to climb, there are times that you really feel like you're in a rut. And you ask yourself, am I ever going to make it to the top? It's like the top is just unattainable. This book is actually meant for such people. It's a book too for, I took time to actually do some chapters, which I call the mentoring boot camp for women who are aspiring to get to the top. Of course, the principles are the same, both for men and for women. Okay. It's just that women don't get enough opportunity of being mentored. So I had to really focus on them in the book.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, the book is a very good documentary sort of for the or documentation for the public sector, the federal civil service, and I'm so happy they've taken note of that, because I used the period that I spent in the civil service to comment on the effect of the various reforms they were carried out. And because I was right there when these reforms took place, and then for them to actually find out whether these reforms worked or the impact on the system. So the comments I made on those reforms have been very well taken. So it's actually a documentation of a historical period in the federal civil service.
Yeah. Well, Grant, you also talked about some of your personal travails, some of the struggles that you had to go through, especially in chapter 16, Facing the Headwinds, where you talked about your struggles with childbirth and how you were able to scale through all of that. You also quoted some very interesting people like Theresa May and how she was able to scale her own travails and how that impacted your own life as a sample for people. Can we talk about this for a minute? How did that impact your process through the civil service, with everything that you had to struggle through?
When you see somebody who rose to the peak of his or her career, like I did, it's a picture. You see a picture of success. You just see all the trappings of power around the person. I mean, you have achieved what only a few people can. And people don't even know that you pass through a very tortuous path to get to that place. So sharing that chapter facing the headwinds was a very, very emotional thing for me. As a matter of fact, it was the last chapter that I wrote.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes, very private things. And it took a lot of prodding for me to actually bring out my private things that were very private to me to the open like that. But like I said in the book, courage is my second name.
Yeah.
Once I have thought about things, I know the objective I want to achieve, which is to reach out to a lot of people who are also going through those things, women that are struggling with childbirth, those that are depressed, those that have lost promotions, they think they can't even make it any headway again, those that are passing through financial crisis. Think that I too, they saw the story where I spoke about where I too, I got broke,
Yes.
And then I took a loan. Then I didn't even have anything to live on anymore. And there were 4 distinct things, and I suffered a loss.
Yeah.
And my father died. And then my dear uncle that I was very close to, that brought me in the service, that I thought I was going to climb on him and his name to, be getting along in the system. And my uncle died. So
sad.
Just at the beginning of my career. So I shared all those lessons, because those stories, because I know there are a lot of people who are in those kind of shoes.
Yes.
Just to let them know that despite you can still make it.
Yes. Now, in all of this, you still found out time to actually talk about some of the happy moments, like when you did your NYSC, celebrated your birthday with a frog and bread. So I wanted to ask how you see the Corps right now compared to back in 1984 when you served, how relevant it is and how it can impact women today.
Yes, I really think that the NYSC, there should not be any talk at all about whether it should continue or it should be scrapped. There should not be any talk like that, because the NYSC is a very integral part of our unity and of even our continued relevance as a country.
Yes. Yeah.
The NYSC actually offers opportunity for all the young people to get to know themselves from across the country.
That's
you
very
can
true.
imagine, when I was doing my youth service, at the time I finished university, I was doing youth service. I had never even gone to the north, any northern state in this country.
And you said that in the book, actually, which was a very interesting part of the book, which I found very, very entertaining. You also got your first national honor from at the end of the NYSC. Well, Georgina, I wish we had more time. We would have really loved to go in depth into all the different chapters in this book. Very beautiful book. But unfortunately, we don't have that much time. But thank you very much for being a part of the show here today, especially on Book Chat. I do think that it's a must-read for everybody who's out there who wants to succeed as a woman in Nigeria, in Africa, and indeed the world on merit. I haven't finished it, but be sure that I will. Thank you very much once again, Georgina. It's great having you on the show today.
Thank you. I really do appreciate that.
All righty.
Thank you.
So we'll take a break now, and we'll be back with more Wake Up Nigeria.